here we have a slightly used 2002 Jetta TDI. It's in pristine condition and has some issues that have to be dealt with. We're gonna start out with fixing the power steering leak, maybe deal with the CV boot that's broken, and everything else we're gonna find along the way. And I'm gonna try to get some video footage of how to go about all fixing this and replacing parts and stuff.
So here are those two connections for the high pressure and return lines of the power steering rack, and what I noticed is when I wipe them off, there's actually oil seeping through the metal connectors, so they're rusted through. So we're gonna have to replace them both just to be safe, because the second one, so the return line is right now through, the pressure line is not yet, but probably not far behind, so we'll replace them just for good measure. Alright, so turns out I do not have the patience to set up a camera while I'm trying to work on something. It just would drive me nuts. So I went ahead and just tried to get a wrench on that connector and crack it open so I can drain the fluid out. And that's what it's doing right now. It took me almost a half hour to get the bolt to where it is right now, because there's no room to get in there with anything that I have in tools. So it was a rough one, and yeah, you will not see any videos of me trying to loosen something up, but I'll cover something after the fact and show you what it looks after. So now I got them both loose and it's just still draining, and what I used is standard 19 combo wrench and ratchet with a 19 socket and little bar for some extra leverage, and you can finagle it in there and somehow manage to get it open. However, I feel like it would be a lot easier if you had one of the ratcheting wrenches. That would be fantastic in that case, because there's so little room to work with. So here is where the return line runs. It comes up, follows the steering rack over to the passenger side, and then comes up right here and back to the reservoir. It's mounted with one bolt down there, which is so rusted it probably shares off as we try to open it up, we'll see. And it's wedged in there between the steering rack and that heat shield, which in my specific case is rusted off anyway. So it should be easy to get everything out under it without removing the heat shield. We'll see. Alright, so that came off actually just fine. So you can see now that line is loose. I worked it out from under that heat shield. And it goes all the way over here. And that's the line we're going to remove. There it is. Now we just have to undo the top where it actually runs up to the reservoir. In order to do so, we gotta remove that intake hose, because the spring-loaded clamp for that reservoir is right there. So what you want to do to get this line out of everything, you want to work it way up high on the driver's side, get it all the way up there, stick out the top, and that gives you room to actually bring it over, and then you can bring it down again and out. So the pressure line on the pump is a 22mm Benjo fitting, easily accessible, but then you have to also undo a little clamp that holds, let's see, get some light on there, nope, yeah, that holds that line in place down there. Let's see. How do you get there? It's right down there. Right down there. You can see. And that's a tough one to get to. No fun.
You can access it. I have a long or a deep socket, 13 millimeter from a 3/8 inch ratchet set, or a swivel, short extension, and my ratchet out here. You gotta have to lift up that water line or remove it so you have more room to work with it, and then one click at a time get that loose and off. So now back on the bottom, we pulled that power steering pressure line down, and there's one more clamp that holds it right here off of the starter motor, and I think it's easy to actually take the bracket off instead of the hose clamp. We're just gonna try that first with 30 millimeter swivel, short extension, long extension, 3/8 ratchet, and then there's a second one down here. This guy has a little spring-loaded metal sliding nut to it. Hope it opens up for you. It did loosen up fine for me, and then we should be good to pull that pressure line out. Now that we got everything out, we can install these two new beautiful lines and hope that it actually is a little easier to get them in than it was to get them out. So now you can see we have the new lines in place. Everything is buttoned up and runs right over here and up. Everything's hooked up, all good. Now what I usually do is I fill up the reservoir, run it for a couple seconds, check for leaks, fill up the reservoir, run it for a couple seconds, check for leaks. And just keep doing that until the reservoir does not go down anymore, and hopefully you don't have any leaks. And then you go out and steer left, right to full lock, back and forth, and to get the rest of the air out. And that should be it.